What's up, gals and pals? It's your boy Vino Valentino, and welcome back to 60-Second Cocktails. This is the YouTube PubCrawl, and ladies and gentlemen, I'm so excited to have my buddy, the king of intros, the stifler of snifters, my boy Tyler of Never EmTy Bottle. Tyler, say hello to the crowd.
What's up, everybody? How you doing today?
All right, man. This is super exciting. I'm really happy to have this guy. He's always one to make me laugh, and I always appreciate a good laugh. So rule number one, what are you drinking, Tyler?
I am drinking a Kentucky Mule, actually. I'm going to give props this one to Rob from Rob's Home Bar.
Nice.
Borrowed this one from your TikTok, so I
nice.
drinking a Mule today.
Rob's always good for a good whiskey cocktail. I'll tell you that much.
For sure, absolutely.
Let's see, what am I gonna do today? I'm gonna do a little bit. I'm gonna go back to my Appleton on ice. I really love little Appleton on the rocks.
Appleton's good stuff.
Yeah, man, I do. I love a little dark rum, a little
Jamaican
rum. I love Jamaica. I love anything Jamaica. To be honest with you, I'm a big Jamaica guy. You ever been?
I have never. I really haven't traveled out of the country too much, which that's on the list of things to do here soon.
Yeah, well, you're a young guy. You have a lot of time. I didn't start traveling until late in life. It took me a while to get on that travel boat.
I'll say it costs money to travel, weirdly enough.
You would think it'd be free, right? How did the cavemen do it?
Yeah,
anyway,
no kidding.
Tyler, cheers, my brother. Thanks for being on.
Cheers. Let's do this.
All right, Tyler. So as you know, we start our show off with my favorite new game show, the Fast Pour.
Let's do it.
6 questions in 60 seconds. All right, Tyler, ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
And we're going to begin now. All right, Tyler, your favorite cocktail?
I'm going to have to go with a Mule.
All right, nice. Your favorite spirit?
Oh, it's got to be bourbon.
All right, cool. Your favorite hangover food?
Hangover food, tater tots with some cheese and bacon on them.
Okay, cool, nice. That's actually sounds phenomenal. An old fashioned or a Manhattan?
Old fashioned all the way.
All right, cool. Let's see. The worst cocktail you've ever had?
Oh, worst cocktail I've ever had. Oh, the Manmosa.
The Manmosa. Right? That's what I figured. I was like, where are we going here? And then last but not least, your favorite YouTube channel, not called 60-Second Cocktails. You've got 15 seconds. Doesn't have to be a cocktail channel.
I'm going to go with Steve the bartender, man.
Steve the bartender? Sweet.
Yeah, I've been following him for a long time, and I like him. He's
all right,
got
cool. Did that with 6 seconds. Yeah, so go ahead. Continue. You have 6 seconds left. So go ahead. What are you saying about Steve?
He was probably the first big cocktail channel I started following. He's just got an infectious personality. I love talks. He's just got a good guy feel to him. And he's really kind of what inspired me to kind of pursue doing the cocktail thing. So definitely for you.
But anyway, Tyler, let's talk about your background a little bit, bro. Why don't you tell everybody where you're from? How'd you get into this whole cocktail thing in the first place?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm from the Midwest. I'm from Iowa, like Carl from Alchemix. Weirdly enough, we reached out to each other before we kind of got into the cocktail community, and we had some nice conversations. He's a great guy. I live in Des Moines, which is the capital, and I've been living out here for 6 years now. We just bought our house, me and my wife. We just bought our house going on 2 years now, and in April it'll be 2 years. And I wanted to build a bar for as long as I can remember. It's just something I've always dreamed of doing. And finally, after about 10 months of living in our house, I was like, I can build this bar. So me and one of my buddies went to the lumber store. We came down and we just built this thing from scratch. There was nothing here. Everything you see, we built.
Nice.
So as soon as we built the bar, COVID hit. And that was kind of a bummer. The whole idea was to get my friends and family over here to enjoy. So with COVID hit, I just kind of sat down here and drank, but with me and my wife, we drank ourselves. And probably after about 5 months when we came up with the idea to do the cocktail channel. And I've always had a love for cocktails, but obviously, as you've seen some of my earlier videos, I didn't have the technical skills.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what I was looking for. So now, having a little bit of time and experience under my belt, I'm starting to kind of develop some of those things. And it's a lot of fun. I love doing this. I'm so glad I'm doing this. It's a blast.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, listen, the beauty of it all is that, anyone can learn anything as long as they're committed to doing so. You know what I mean? So to see your progress, because I was there, I saw your first videos. And you know, I even commented on the first one with the autofocus and stuff. You know, we always have a joke. I have a joke with him because when Tyler first started making his videos, he didn't know how to do the autofocus on his camera.
Nope.
And so like I messed with him now about it. You know, but I saw the enthusiasm and I could see like, you know, even though at that time you weren't quite doing the comedy thing yet, I could sense a certain kind of energy coming from you. You know, like not to get all hokey, but I'm like an energy guy, you know? So I felt that immediately. I'm like, this guy seems like a good dude. I bet you he's funny. And I remember telling Tyler, like early on, I'm like, watch this Tyler. No, I'm sorry, telling Rob, because Rob and I have been talking for a long time. I said, watch this Tyler kid. This kid's going to be funny. Watch. He's going to be special. And then boom, there you go. You blew up and became this, like, you know, at least within our community, just like someone that everyone looks at as the, you know, the funny guy with your intros and just kind of the way you put your cocktails together and stuff like that. I think you're just a video away from like blowing the fuck up, to be honest with you, bro. Like, I honestly think that there's such an appeal to what you're doing that no one else in this niche is really doing. Listen, the beauty is that everyone in this niche is kind of doing their own thing. Like everyone's got their shtick, you know what I mean?
For sure.
You know, not every shtick is so obvious, but I think the guys that do kind of lean into their thing are, you know, providing something that really no one else is doing and stuff, you know, and you really leaned into that intro thing and kind of like the, you know, I always say like kind of like that frat boy next door thing. Oh, yeah. I'm like, go with it, bro. It's awesome. It works. It's like not being done right now. I mean, not to the level that you're doing it. And I think it's awesome, man. You know what I'm saying? Because there's definitely a younger demographic out there that's going to be like, oh, you see Tyler, dude? Like, you know what I'm saying? Money's all green and subs are all, you know, a click away. You know what I'm saying?
I love it. Yeah, no, you're 100% right. I don't know. I would say, I mean, I did like my first 8 videos and I filmed those like right away. And just watching them, like I go back and I look at them now and it's just like, man, I did not like what I was doing. It's just like, it was comfortable. It wasn't me. And then I started kind of doing a little bit of the intro thing at the beginning. And then honestly, it was right about the time I did the Fireball video, when I really just started like, all right.
Fireball is when everything changed for you. I mean, you can like, if you could look at a channel and say, when did that moment happen? It was definitely Fireball for you.
Well, you go for all my other ones, like my old fashioned ones hit over, I think that one's close to 1,500 views now. And some of my other ones are getting up there a little bit, but my Fireball one's got like almost 3,000 views.
Wow.
Crazy. But I mean, at the same time, that's my biggest. And that was definitely the one where I was like, okay, this is who I need to be. I need to quit shying away from what people maybe think about my attitude or think about how I'm talking. And I'm just going to roll with it. This is who I am. This is who I've always been.
That's it, man.
You know, I've always been a class clown kind of person. So I'm fine with it.
You'll always shine when you're yourself. That's the facts. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like, you know, and we've had this conversation offline where we've said like, we're not shy guys. We're very kind of comfortable with ourselves and we love to be funny. I like to be funny too and stuff.
Yeah.
But there was definitely, you know, when you start off in this YouTube thing, you're like not sure how much of yourself to give.
Right.
You know, and also how to give it. Right. Because you want to be yourself, but not come across as, you know, like almost like, because, you know, again, we're balancing that line between being like serious about making good cocktails, but also serious about just giving you a good time.
Right. And I think that's the other thing is that people, I think, especially for me, at least at the beginning, I thought too much about who I wanted to be as far as cocktail chain, you know, because you see the tipsy bartender and he's a lot of like pouring to the glass and he's talking behind the scenes the whole time. That's great. And you see a lot of people do those kinds of things and you kind of like, oh, maybe I should do something like that. But I knew I always wanted to be in front of the camera. Like I knew that's who I wanted to come off. I wanted people to see me. And just, it's difficult sometimes to just decide, you know, what's going to be the most successful for my channel. And like you said, you know, you got to take your strengths, lean into them and just punt your weaknesses. Like who cares about like, just get rid of them. I don't even, bye-bye.
Yeah. You know, what's funny is I remember, you know, because I've been in the business over 15 years now. And, you know, I dealt with a very, very high-end clientele and very, you know, very New York City South stuff, which is very kind of pretentious and whatnot, you know, and I'm not like that, but I understood that that's the clientele that I was dealing with. But I always still kept my kind of Bronx edge with even my clients. And they dug it, you know, but I still kept even that to a limit. So when I thought about doing a YouTube channel, I said, man, do I want to like go and be kind of like the serious cocktail guy where like I just kind of make very serious drinks and stuff like that? Or do I want to be like, you know, myself, the funny guy who whatever,
Have a little
who
personality
doesn't
to
really, yeah, who doesn't really care what anyone thinks, except I hope I made them smile a little bit, you know. I mean, I don't know if you've seen, yeah, you saw today's video. Like, I don't care. I'm singing. I'm like
Yeah.
acting, you know.
The
I don't.
hanky-panky one. Yeah,
It
yeah.
is what it is. It is what it is, man.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, man, I have to enjoy the content I'm putting out.
Oh, absolutely. If you don't have fun with the cocktail you're making, like then you're either shooting wrong, you're doing something wrong, you're just not being true to yourself. I mean, I totally agree, especially with you. Like, I think your swagger comes out in your video time. You remind me of like that Don Corleone, like you're the boss. Like you are in charge. And like whether you make a joke or you are serious, you're telling some history and everything, like you come out in every single
Thanks, brother. Appreciate that, man.
No, it's great. I love it.
Thanks, man. I mean, again, you know, I'm a huge fan of yours, brother. I've been from the beginning. And that's why, like, when I saw your video initially, I said, I got to tell this kid, like, fix this. Because if I thought you were whack, I would have been like, eh. You know what I'm trying to say?
My favorite was you told me that. And I remember reading that comment and I was like, yeah, I know, but I don't know how to fix it. I don't think my camera does that.
When I saw that response, I'm like, I'm gonna leave this kid to figure this out. He'll Google it. He'll figure it out. I felt bad. I didn't want to sit there like on the freaking comment section, like start schooling you on what to do. I'm like, oh.
And the day it like clicked for me when I figured out how to do it, I was like, oh, I need to tell Vino I figured it out.
So Tyler, man, let me tell you. So before we get into anything else, man, I want to get right into these intros, man. Like, when did it click to even do an intro, and where do you like get your inspiration from, and how many, you know, like I'm gonna go through a line of questioning for that, but like when did it occur to you to start doing them? Because bro, you haven't missed. That's unbelievable.
I appreciate that. Yeah, the intros have kind of been my thing. People love the intros, and to me, I feel like, you know, every single time you have a speech, you have something, you have like 10 to 15 seconds to nail
grab them 100%.
If you don't grab them, then you're screwed. Like, people might not even watch half my cocktails, but I'm going to get them past that first initial intro so that they at least like check it out. I feel like that's, but yeah, no, I honestly watching, to be real, watching David from Booze on the Rocks and, who's another one? Even Greg.
Yeah,
like,
Greg. I would say Greg has that kind of vibe.
Greg, you guys have that same vibe where, you know, you come in, you talk right away. You don't just dive balls deep into your cocky. You talk a little bit and then like, boom, there's your intro. And like, oh, okay, I'm watching this. And then you guys go into it. So I saw that and I was like, I like that. I really, really like that because it's engaging. It gets the people's attention. So I can't remember which one it was. I think it was my amaretto cranberry cocktail, which was without a doubt my worst one. It was my first one. It was the worst.
But the cocktail was good. I made the cocktail.
Cocktail was great.
The cocktail was good. Though.
Cocktail was great, but my intro, it was just kind of flat. And I was like, hey, grab yourself one of these. Let's get at it.
Yeah, and you could see that was like the beginning of something though.
My wife, I remember, was like behind the camera and she was like, what the fuck was that? I was like, I don't know. Let's do the thing. And so after that, yeah, like I just started running with it. And like the inspiration from it, honestly, I've always had like a very odd, I would say, sense of humor. Like I think about what's going to come out of my mouth next. Like that's kind of, honestly, I think of the intros half the time, like 5 minutes before I shoot them.
That's something you and I talked about a lot. Like, I mean, it's for me, like there's no script. Like I know I'm making a cocktail and I know, and I write down on my cheat sheet, you know, a little bit of the history and the ingredients, but I just like, I think you're like me, like I'm best improvising. I'm best kind of going for it, you know? And I think
of my best stuff. Yeah.
That's a challenge at the same time, right? Because like, if you feel dry that day, or you feel like you're not really killing it, like you're super self-conscious about it when you.
For sure. And no, I agree 100%. Like because it's one of those times, or it's a double-edged sword there, where when I'm just talking, sometimes I'll spit out some of my best stuff. I'll say something ridiculous, and it's like I like that, and like that was because I didn't think about it. But then there are other days, like you said, like I'll try and say, I'll shoot a take 6 or 7 times because I'm like, I have no idea what I'm trying to say here. I have no idea what I'm trying to. I was like, I'm trying to be funny, but it's not coming. You force it too much, and it's just.
Have you ever felt like you pushed it too hard? I've definitely done that. I've done that, and I'm like, I don't know if my audience is ready yet, because you know my humor is like I grow up with Eddie Murphy, like guys like that, like kind of these really raw,
delirious,
you know what I'm saying? Like, but like the comedy style is very, and then I also grew up in the Bronx. Like the way I envision the world is a little more rough around the edges.
Mm-hmm.
And my comedy's like that. It's very explicit sometimes and whatnot. And I know there's a fine line that you have to kind of be able to balance with YouTube. Even if I do it, if you guys all laugh, I don't know. Was that?
I said, if you just come out and you just do Eddie Murphy where you're screaming the F word every other word, you're going to turn some.
Like you might find that funny as hell. You know what I'm saying? You can be like, oh my God, Vito's killing it tonight.
I'm already subscribed though.
Yeah, but then all my sub numbers, I'll see my subs going down because the reality is, listen, I've got an audience that varies, right? I know I can see my stats and there's a lot of people in my age group who would probably be cool with that, but they might be younger people that are more offended or older people that are more offended. Yeah. So I don't know. So it's like, you got to balance that, but still give a little bit of that, like a little bit of that kind of edginess.
A little bit of the raunch. Yeah. No, it's funny you say that because my parents had Eddie Murphy Raw on cassette tape. And I listened to it for the first time when I was about 10 or 11, which is way too young. Anybody watching is way too young to be listening to Eddie Murphy Raw. And I didn't understand half the words he was saying. I remember I laughed my ass off, but I didn't understand half. So I was I had a potty mouth at a young age. And I would but my parents, that wasn't something that was too big of an issue for them. If you're doing good in school, you're not getting you're not getting fights. If you come home and you swear a couple times, it's not going to bug us.
Yeah.
And me and my mom, we have the best relationship ever.
Awesome.
They're we have a good shtick back and forth. She'll always she'll call me. I'll be like, hey, what's up, douchebag? And I'm like, oh, it's your son, but whatever. But yeah, so that definitely it got me in trouble though later in life as far as I didn't know how to speak around everyone. I only knew how to speak one way, and it was, F this, F that, haha, shit on you.
Yeah.
Then as you get older and you get in the professional world, you realize you gotta pump the brakes a little bit. You gotta tone it down.
Yeah.
People are not gonna like that.
Yeah, which is, which I get, but sometimes I feel like, listen, we're not stand-up comedians or anything like that, but it does feel sometimes limiting and restricting, right? You just want to kind of we're talking about cocktails. When you're at a bar, you're cursing your ass off. You're talking about bullshit. That's the culture at a bar. But because we're on YouTube and we want to, there's other things also you gotta think about. If you want to monetize, you got to be careful how much cursing you do. So there is that, but I think in general, I think we both get our message across in terms of our ability to be comical and whatnot. But there's definitely this piece of me that's like do I just go on IG and do some live shit? You know what I'm saying? Do an IG live where we just kind of, I say, Tyler, bro, let's do this tomorrow at 9. No. We get on there and just talk shit, dude, and just look. I
love the live shit, man. It's great. I think it really shows people's how they naturally talk to them. We chat on each other's boards and we conversation and everything, but until you and I talked for the first time on live, I wasn't 100% sure I knew how you were going to be. You were going to be a different cat, but no, you're the same dude and I love it.
Same here, brother. Same here.
I know it's coming out of your mouth, how you genuinely feel each time you talk. So that's why. Same with Rob, same with David, same with Liquid Memoir, everybody. I don't think anyone shies away from who they are.
That's one thing I can say, man. It's great to see how much the on-camera personalities are really the same, behind the scenes. When we do a lot of these, chats outside of the YouTube, on the Discord and this and the third, and everybody's kind of still the same, and it's awesome. Sure. You're like, all right, well, at least I know how to manage this guy in terms of having the conversation with him and stuff, Excuse me. Anyway, so Tyler, man, listen, so really, what would you say is your mission here? What do you want to do with this YouTube thing? What is your goal in terms of the what you're trying to provide to your subscribers, and what do you want to do as a creator in general?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think anyone could agree with me. 9-to-5 jobs aren't always the best. So, and I'm not saying this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life, but if I can somehow make this a career and build this up into some sort of a brand, that would be freaking, I would love it. The goal is to be able to shoot videos every day, to be able to have my own studio instead of, my basement bar, don't get me wrong. To have a shooting spot, to have my own products, things like that. That would be great. That's the goal. For the fans and everything, I want them to think of me almost as a game show. I I envision myself almost like Richard Dawson up there, like fan you, just kind of, pleasing the crowd, but you're doing your job still at the same time. You're showing your personality. I guess I want to elaborate kind of more on my cocktail, like what I do. You saw the Sweetie Martini the other day with Jacques, just throwing that in there. Like that was something different. Yeah. I'm trying to experiment with these things all the time and just try and do something different. I just want to keep the audience entertained at all times, like informative, but entertained more than anything.
I think Greg over at How to Drink has really done a great job of being able to really lean into his kind of pop culture stuff that he's really into and still do the cocktail thing. And no one's kind of discrediting either side of it. They're like, the guy makes great cocktails, but he also has this great pop culture
so much
knowledge base. That's awesome, man. Because I would love to do. I would love to do something like that. I'm a big music guy. I'm a big sports guy. So I would love to.
What's your sport of choice?
Baseball is my diehard.
You Yankees?
Diehard Yankee. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, duh.
Yeah, I'm a diehard baseball fan, but I'm also a massive music fan. It's my first love, and I would love to talk about that a little more. Travel, I love to travel. I'm not doing it much now, obviously, but I love to travel. But there's other parts of me, other elements of me. I'm 42 now. I'm gonna be 43 by the time this thing comes out. And you grow a lot, right? When I was your age, I had one set of likes and whatnot, and they grew. So by the time you're my age, you'll be like, oh, I love this, but I also love that,
Right.
So it's it'd be great to be able to give more of that in the show. And I think I will over time. I just got to figure out how to do that without becoming
just like anybody does. You got to come up with a plan of, or like who your audience is always going to be. I guess that's always my thought when I do a cocktail or anything. It's like, okay, who's going to like this video?
Yeah.
Like, who are going to be the people? But going back to what you said about Greg and his pop culture, like I have always been a huge movie guy. I watch tons of movies. I love movies, all that kind of stuff. But he's definitely one of those guys that like, you watch him and you're like, oh shit, he knows way more than I do.
Yeah. So, but he's also, don't forget, he's also older than you. So I think I think he also has the ability to invest more time in that kind of stuff because of the fact that he has a YouTube channel. Now, obviously he knew a lot of stuff before YouTube, but he's always been in the, I think he does audio video stuff anyway, like for career. So he's always been kind of in that scene anyway, for you, it's a bit more of a hobby than anything else, so like, but being able to kind of put that out there and stuff like that in your content over time, I think it would be cool, man, because obviously have you ever had the acting bug? Has that ever been something you wanted to do?
So weirdly enough, I entered an acting / modeling competition probably about 4 years ago now. And I got top 5 and everything. I won a couple.
Nice.
And I actually won a scholarship at Los Angeles acting school. And I took it and I moved out there. I moved out to Los Angeles and I did the class and everything like that. And number one, Los Angeles is so expensive. So I ran money. But then the other thing, like, it's just so hard I was, I think 24 at the time. So just that much later in life, it's like, you really got to start making your, my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, she was still back home in Iowa. And it's like, I had to decide, it's like, I'm not going to make her move out here and change her life for that. So I was only out there for probably about a little over 5 months. And then I moved back home and, but the acting bug, I've always had a little bit of the acting bug in me. I love getting up in front of camera and just kind of being goofy and doing that kind of
stuff. I do too, man. It's awesome. I never pursued the acting thing, which I should have. I pursued the comedy thing. I've done a little stand-up and whatnot.
Nice.
I did well, but it just I did music for a long time, and that was a strong commitment in my head, like an alternative hip hop group, kind of like a Tribe Called Quest and stuff like that.
Nice.
And we were, we had a good run and stuff like that, and unfortunately things didn't work out with the group itself. We kind of had a big fallout, and when that came to an end, I said, I can't do this any longer. I'm not going to start over because I was 26. So like yourself, I'm like, man, at this point I got to figure out what's going on in my life.
Right.
No, and so I went into hospitality and stuff like that, and that worked out well until recently, unfortunately. But it was definitely like one of those things where, like, if I had pursued it longer, and I imagine yourself, like, it probably could have worked out. Yeah. But it's a tough industry. It's a super tough.
It
industry,
is. But it's good that you had those. Like you took those chances, you took those leaps. I feel the It's like I never have to sit here and think like, what
Damn,
if?
I didn't try.
Like right. And that was my wife's biggest thing is at the time she encouraged me more than anything. She was like, go do it. She's like, I'll still be here, like do your thing. And I was like, all right, let's packed up my entire life in my car and I drove 26 hours to Los Angeles. Like it was crazy, but yeah, no, it's definitely, you get to a point where you're like, I'm either going to tip one way or I'm going to tip the other way. And
Dude, let me tell you something, bro.
Tough.
All you need is one viral video to make things go the other way. Cause obviously, through your skits, you can see this kid has some acting chops, right? They're silly, but they're acting chops, right? Like I always call, I joke around, like he's like the Stifler of the comedy channel.
That was a shout out to you in my last video too.
I saw that, yeah. And I'm like, but it's not in a negative way at all. I just think that's kind of the cool shtick that you have. You know what I mean? It's like, listen, there's guys like that have a shtick. Like Ryan Reynolds kind of has his thing that he does. Vince Vaughn, like guys like that, people like that kind of have a thing. Like Vince Vaughn is someone I love and I admire. Like I always found myself kind of emulating him almost in my, but not by purpose. Like I remember the first time seeing the movie Swingers, which is my favorite movie of all time.
John Favreau.
Yeah, man. So like I grew up during that period, John Favreau. I grew up during that period and I remember that period very distinctively. And I remember like seeing Vince Vaughn in that film and going like, damn, I relate with that guy so hard. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like the guy that was always trying to get the girl and telling my buddies, they were like, come on, we got this, buddy. Don't worry about it. I was a fast talker and all that shit like that.
Right.
And then he was tall and lean like me and stuff. And I just really gravitated towards that and kind of followed Vince Vaughn's career. And I said, man, there's a lot about him that I absolutely love, even though he plays the same guy kind of all the time. And I'm like, but it works. It works sometimes, you know what I mean?
For sure.
Not everybody
Everyone
has to
loves
be
that
diverse.
character for a reason. I mean, it's sometimes I find that difficult when you watch movies or you watch stuff like that. Somebody who either's always been a comedy guy or always been an action guy try to transition to the other spot, like the comedy guys, I feel like always try to become the badass at some point.
Yeah.
And it's hard because you look at them and you're like, man, like,
dude, but some guys do it well. Like, I don't care what anyone says, man. Jim Carrey is a phenomenal dramatic actor.
Yeah. Oh no, I agree. I love Jim Carrey.
Robin Williams was another one that did a great job with that.
Yeah. Although, some of those guys, they're great.
Yeah, but not all of them can, because sometimes you're kind of like, But anyway, Tyler, listen. So let's talk cocktails a little bit, brother. What was the like that first cocktail you had where you were like, this is it, man. Like I love cocktails. I love drinking. And I'm not talking about like a gin and tonic or anything like that or beer. I'm talking about like a nice mixed drink where you're like, oh man, this is awesome.
Yep. Oh man, for sure. And I was actually just toying between it when you asked me what my favorite cocktail was. Whiskey sour though, for sure. Definitely the first one I had that I was like,
love whiskey sour.
Oh my God. Yeah, it was. So it's funny because I was that typical college kid, whiskey Cokes, rum and Coke, stuff like that.
Yeah. Everyone starts off that way, man.
For sure. And I remember I went to this bar and they did liquor pitchers where for
pitchers.
For $2, you can get an entire pitcher of liquor, mixed liquor.
That's the Midwest right there, brother, because that ain't happening out here in New York.
We used to get weird. We used to get real weird with that stuff. But I remember I asked for if I could get a pitcher of whiskey. I think I asked for whiskey Coke, and she was like, you need to mix it up or something. She's like, you always come in here and you always get whiskey Coke. She's like, how about I make you a whiskey sour? And I was like, all right. So she made me a pitcher of whiskey sour and I'm like holding it. I'm like, what the shit? And I'm like, drink. She put a whole damn 12 pack of eggs in this thing. And it was she even did it with the egg and everything like that? She did the egg beaters, the egg.
Okay. Which is still, she did the eggs. Wow.
Yeah, no, kudos to her. I remember her vividly making that for me. And I was like, I think you're fucking up my drink. Anyway, she made it and I drank it. And I remember it was like, it was a bar, like kind of a, it's a pitcher. So, I mean, it's not the greatest cocktail, but I remember thinking like, this is really good. And I went home and I got all the ingredients and everything. And I actually made a whiskey sour on my own, like the actual way you're supposed to make it. And just being like, holy shit, like this is the beginning. Like this is maybe I need to change my cocktail. But Yeah, for sure. Whiskey sour is where it's at.
Yeah, I mean, I love the whole sours family, man. Gin sours, whiskey sours. I make all kinds of sours. I actually want to do a show like where I literally make a shot sour out of everything. I just think it'd be fun.
Yep. I agree.
I think one of the things that we've been talking about a lot lately amongst our group is like the kind of content that you need to make to really kind of stand out, right? Because Rob and I were talking, like a lot of times when you make these kind of lesser known cocktails, but you make them because maybe you're a fan of it, you want to try it, or you want to enlighten people to something, or as a cocktail enthusiast, you want to make it, you find that the response isn't great outside the niche, or you're not really grabbing a lot of subs off of it. But the ones that get the subs tend to be like, best way to make a whiskey sour, or, like what was it, 10 different Manhattans you made one time, whatever.
The 4 different Manhattans. Yeah,
like stuff like that tends to get a better response from people because I think they're intrigued in seeing like this thing, something that they're familiar with, be modified versus something they don't know at all.
No, I agree completely. Like you said, you look up old fashioned and there are millions of ways you see the old fashioned. You can find many recipes. So, and I feel like recently I kind of experienced that with some of my cocktails where it's like, oh, cosmopolitan, like this will be good and everything, but people know what a cosmopolitan so it's like, you gotta balance. Like the cocktail I was actually thinking about doing for this interview was the Boston Sour, which it's really, there's not too much difference. I think it's like lemon and a little bit something else.
Well, the whiskey sour with egg is actually a Boston Sour.
Okay. The whiskey sour originally did not have an egg white.
Gotcha. It's become synonymous with the egg white, but it actually never did. It didn't have it initially. That's what they call the Boston Sour. And then you have obviously the New York Sour, which is with some wine and stuff like that. So
which I love the New York Sour. I think the New York Sour is great. I'm like you. I like a lot of sours. I used to drink a lot of sour beers.
Yeah. Cool.
Couldn't drink too many of them, but it's just always like if I went to a bar, I was like, oh, I want to try that sour. So, whiskey sour definitely changed my life, I would say.
So would you say that you have a big beer knowledge too, or just wine, or just cocktails is really your thing?
So I worked for a beer distributing company for a few years. So yeah, I would say I have pretty good. We specified specifically in like Budweiser, Busch Light, Midwest. Obviously there's tons of Bud Light, Busch Light products. But we had craft stuff. So we would get to experiment with that, but I'd say I have a pretty decent beer knowledge. Yeah. Not as much because you're a wine guy, and I know if it's red or if it's white.
Some people don't even know that, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Because I do like say like beer's kind of my weak spot. I know beer only to a certain extent, because the clientele I dealt with did not drink beer. They drank wine, they drank whiskey. But I do want to do some wine stuff at some point, but not quite yet. Wine is expensive, and you got to finish the whole bottle, right? It's not like what I'm saying. And my wife's not a big drinker, so it's a little difficult for me. Especially because I'm mixing in the liquor, so it's like I'd have to drink a whole bottle of wine before I go into something. You know what I mean? But beer is something like I feel is a little bit of a missed opportunity on this niche because there's a lot of good beer cocktails. I think someone like you would probably be.
I'm weirdly working on that right now. That's funny that you say that. I have a video I'm getting ready to shoot here probably in the next week with a bunch of beer cocktails.
Cool. I mean, if anyone could pull that off, it would be you, because beer does lend itself kind of like to the younger humoristic.
Well, and if you think about it, beer's kind of become unsexy these last few years. Like it's all I feel like about like the cocktails or the hard seltzers and everything like that. Some people have really kind of drove away from. I'll always be a beer guy, but I understand people not being as into it now as they used to be.
I think beer became the hipster drink, and I think that kind of ruined it for some people. You know what I mean? Like it's like all these IPAs and stuff became a hipster thing.
The micro stuff, the micro beers are like the micro
exactly.
Beers.
So it kind of became associated with the hipsters and stuff, and Pabst Blue Ribbon too and stuff, and. So like, there's a negative connotation with that even, what I'm saying, with the hipsters and stuff. So like, it's a fickle world out there, brother. You got to kind of just do your own thing and hope that, people gravitate towards it. If you worry too much about what these people, what's trending and stuff like that, you could catch yourself, spinning your wheels and stuff,
Right.
So
for sure.
So now listen, you're a young guy and you haven't had the best one yet. Probably not yet. but you have to have a really good drunk story for me. Come on, give me a good drunk story. You're a young guy out in the Midwest. You're a good-looking kid. You're a funny kid. I mean, come on, you got to have a good.
Yeah, I think the worst part is like I don't know which one to pick. How
much time do we have?
Yeah, exactly. This could be a video in itself. All right, so one I'm thinking of. Oh God. So I go to my bar. I'm in college and I go to my bar that I always go to. And it's Captain Morgan night at this bar. They got the Captain Morgan girls, the pirates walking around, and they're just handing out free shit left and right. And I'm just housing these shots and everything. It's probably like November, December. It's snowing outside, but I get so shit faced. I'm like, it's time to walk home. And in Iowa City, which is where I went to the University of Iowa. So in Iowa City, you pretty much walk everywhere. Uber wasn't a thing when I was in college yet in Iowa City. So I'm walking home and all I have on is this very, very tight Captain Morgan t-shirt. It's basically painted. And I got that and I had this headband on for some reason. I don't remember why, but the headband was like, start making me think I knew karate. And so I'm like doing karate, like down the street. Like I'm in the road, I'm like punching at stuff and like by, and I'm like throwing combos and like I said, it's cold as hell out. And I remember I see this sign and the sign was lower than most average signs. It was like probably just below head high. And I was like, I bet I can roundhouse this sign. You know? Like this is an easy move. So
now you wonder why I call you Stifler. Why you think? Look at this shit you're telling me right now, bro. I was walking down with a super tight shirt, okay, doing fucking karate moves, right? And then I want to roundhouse the sign. Like, come on, bro.
So
you walked right into that.
Oh yeah, and I straight up like pull off my best like Chuck Norris roundhouse move, and I completely whiff, hit the curb, no. I just biff it. And I didn't hit my head, but I remember like I landed on my back and it was one of those where I was just like, damn it, that sucked. I was like, I'm going to lay here for a second and collect my thoughts. And I saw,
what am I doing with my life?
Oh, I know. I was laying there and weirdly enough, I was so drunk. I kind of passed out. Like I was kind of like falling asleep on the sidewalk. And I wake up and these two dudes have me like up under their arm and they're just like, my legs aren't even walking. They're just dragging me. And they're like, hey, buddy, we found you asleep on the sidewalk. We figured we'd walk you home.
Oh, no.
Like, oh, thanks, guys. Like, I live just down that way. And they were like, okay, well, we're not a taxi service, so we're not going to take you home. And I was like, thanks, guy. But that was one of my more embarrassing, like, holy shit, I'm a drunk mess kind of stories.
It's hysterical. I mean, you're lucky that the phones weren't that big at that time, right? Because you would have been a viral meme big time.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I would have been crying Michael Jordan meme for sure.
Yeah. The funny thing is, like, but if that stuff happens now at this juncture at the time,
oh yeah,
they don't even make the rounds anymore because there's so much of that out there. People kind of embarrassing themselves that on something for a second, then it goes away because the next guy is doing that.
Right. Yeah. You come back from it a lot quicker.
Yeah. One of my best drunk stories is hysterical. So like, I didn't really make a fool of myself or anything like that, but so I remember
not like me.
No, not like you, but I got really, really, really drunk. Right. And so we had just come from a nightclub. It was me and my boys, whatever, like came from a nightclub and stuff. And so I was destroyed, like really bad, not feeling good about it though, like dizzy, kind of whatever. I'm like, oh man, this isn't good. So I remember one of my buddies was like, yo, you got to get something to eat. So I'm like, you know what? That sounds like a good idea. So we went to a taco place. We went to get tacos, but I was so nauseous I couldn't eat them. So he said, bro, you don't eat those. I'll eat them. So I'm like, yeah, take them. Go ahead, eat them, whatever. So he eats them. So we get back in the car. We start to drive, and I'm like, guys, I feel like I got to eat something. I'm feeling really nauseous. So my buddy goes, the same guy that ate the tacos. He goes, why don't we go get some pizza, bro? It'd probably be easy for you to eat. I'm like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. So we go to a pizzeria. I get the slice. I'm like, I can't eat this. So he goes, you know what? I'll eat it for you. Don't worry about it. So he goes, this guy, right? So he goes, he eats the slice of pizza for me, right? And so then we went, I think, to like Dunkin' Donuts or something like that. So you know what? I'm going to get coffee and some donuts and stuff like that. And so we go there, and I noticed he didn't order anything this time. No, he recommends it though. He's like, well, you know what? Why don't you get some coffee and maybe some sugar, some donuts? That's okay. So right, he recommended the tacos and the pizza, and I just recommended Dunkin' Donuts. I'm like, you know what? That sounds good. Let's try that. Maybe something sweet to help me out.
Right.
So we go, and I'm like, I can't, guys, I can't eat it. So he says, you know what? I'll eat it for you. I feel bad. This guy had lunch, breakfast, and dinner on me.
Just a garbage disposal of a human.
He totally set that shit up. Down. He had dessert. He had 2 meals and dessert and coffee.
That's
all hilarious. On me. I was just we crack about that all the time to this day. I was like, yo, this guy has totally set me up, bro.
Man, you look a little hungry still. Like, oh yeah, I am a little hungry.
I'm surprised you say, you look like you need a car. Maybe we can go buy. Why don't we go buy a car?
Why don't we go buy a car real quick? Oh, yeah, you know what? That's a great idea.
Yeah. So it was a hysterical night, but we laugh on it. We laugh at it now. The beauty about drunk stories is you can look back and laugh. Hopefully, you know. What I'm saying?
Hopefully. Always. I don't have any drunk stories that I'm not like. I don't know. Ashamed is not the right word, but like I can always, like you said, I can laugh about each one of them probably. Yeah. I was never the angry drunk. No.
I'm a fun drunk.
I would say I'm always the let's do something silly or I don't know.
So Tyler, obviously, listen, you're pretty new to this drinking stuff, or not drinking, but the cocktail making stuff, right? Like, I mean, you have no bartending history or nothing like that, correct? Right. So obviously you're learning as you go and stuff like that. And I can see it. I know everyone else can see your techniques are getting better. Your pronunciation hasn't gotten better. You're still like, I don't know. How do you say this? Hold on. I want the crowd to see this. How do you say this?
Angostura. I don't know why I struggle with some of those words.
No, it's all right. It's fun. It's funny.
Rob always gives me shit because when I say cacao, I say it like a cat would.
You say like a jungle call. Cacao.
Yeah, exactly. Like a bird, just like cacao every time, and I can't stop. But I don't mind.
But honestly, that's part of the charm, brother. Like it kills me. Whenever you're gonna use Agostura, whatever you call it.
Yeah, Angostura.
Angostura. It's hysterical. But that said, obviously, listen, we obviously know that you're learning your stuff, and we all are, bro. We all are. I'm 15 years in the game, and I'm learning. Like I said, my expertise is wine. I've said it again. I knew my cocktail stuff really well, but in terms of making cocktails, that was definitely something that was a bit of a learning curve for me. I was used to telling guys what to make because I was a food and beverage director.
Right.
So, what would you say is the thing you want to learn the most? It's like because normally I ask like what's a blind spot, but obviously I would not to no offense, but there's obviously a bunch of those, right?
For sure.
But what's the thing that you want to learn the most in terms of this whole cocktail thing? Is there a specific style of cocktail you want to do better? Is there just cocktail techniques? Is there certain spirits you want to know more about?
This as far as the spirit game, I feel like I do a decent job of experimenting with all different types. I would say maybe for that though, going more in depth into, the differences between certain spirits, maybe what kind of flavor. And I would say my biggest one though, I know it for a fact, is when I get done making my cocktail and I take a sip of it, knowing how to express the flavors I'm tasting. I struggle with that so much, just knowing what to say, like knowing, what is this I'm truly tasting? Like I always I'll someone be like, oh, you can taste the gin because there's gin in the cocktail, or I can taste this, but it's like, I want to be able to express better. Like this is an oaky flavor. This is a nutty like texture or nutty, scent to it, something like that. So I would say that's my biggest.
So here's my advice on that, because if someone who comes from the wine industry, that is literally your career. Your career is drinking a glass of wine and then describing all of the flavor notes, right? All of the notes. Oh, this has a hint of leather and a little bit of chocolate. Like that's what you do. You sit there and you pick apart a glass of wine. The one thing I can tell you is a great way to figure out how to do that better is to read about what you're supposed to taste, because the power of persuasion is a real thing.
Oh,
and so while you might not, while you're not ready maybe to taste certain things like some nuttiness or something like that, if you know what's supposed to be there, then you're going to look for it and you might find it and it'll help you later on. So like figure out like if what's a whiskey sour supposed to taste like, what is the difference between using it with an egg and not, is that creamy texture that you would get from it, right? When you drink bourbon, what are you supposed to taste? It has kind of like a sweeter than a rye. Rye has more spiciness. Learn what those things are supposed to taste like, and then when you're tasting them, you will develop the ability to taste those nuances in the thing. You will. It's not a cheat code. It's not. You're not lying to yourself and telling yourself, "Oh, this tastes like something," when it doesn't. You will eventually taste it because you know now to look for it. You know what I'm trying to say, and that's the fact. So it's hard when you have no idea, and you're like, "What the hell am I? I don't know." And the first thing that comes to your mind is, "It tastes like whiskey." Like, yeah, we get it. It tastes like whiskey.
There's whiskey in it, yeah.
But also, don't be afraid to say what it tastes like. If it says it's sweet, just say sweet.
Yep.
That's it. Because you know what? The reality is, especially when I was in the wine business, most people don't even give a shit about whether it tastes like, juniper berries or something like that. They want to be like, is it sweet or is it not? Is it dry or is it not? Is it hard or strong or is it not? Like, that's what most people want to know. They want to know more than anything else, whether it's sweet or not, or whether it's strong or not. That's 99% of the time. Because people when they drink cocktails, it's two things. They're either like sweet cocktails or like strong cocktails, stiff cocktails. So that's the reality of it all. It's like trying to be able to say, like, if you try whiskey sour, say like, oh, this is a pretty smooth, balanced cocktail. I think that this is something that most people could drink. You've already satisfied them 99% of the time. Don't try to be too crazy and be like, oh, I could taste notes of this and notes of that. If it comes across eventually, if you learn to do that eventually, then do it if you like, but don't. Like, even I know that, and I don't even really do it. I try to I try to basically explain the very obvious things that you could taste.
I would agree. And I think some of the time, I don't want to say the trouble sometimes with, my palate because you can see, I do so many different, like, I don't do just like the really fancy kinds. Like I'll do fancy cocktails, but then I'll also do like the pour
like an almond joy drink,
Yeah, exactly. The almond.
But how do you sit there and say, oh, I taste, some Chilean 79% cacao, like stuff like that. It makes no sense to do that. You say if it's too sweet or not. Yeah, this is really sweet. I could taste the coconut and the chocolate.
For sure. I think I just need to really focus on either like individual spirits, like one at a time, or I need to just focus on certain drinks, like I drink cocktails. I don't know about you, but I drink maybe a cocktail every other night, I would say. Just like to, I usually do something I've never done before. See how, what it tastes like. Problem is I just sit there, I watch TV, I enjoy it. Where like sit there and look at it and be like, all right, what am I enjoying about this? Like, what am I tasting here? So I think that's like something like just little things like that. I think I can definitely.
It'd be a good idea to do, Tyler, is get yourself like a one of these, like a Glencairn, or get yourself just even a shot glass, right?
Oh, I got shot glasses.
Yeah, and pour a little bit of something into it. Pour a little bit of, like, especially like stuff like a weird ass thing, like pour a little, like, I don't know if you have this now, but like a liqueur. Pour a little Benedictine into it, right? Yeah. And taste that. That shit's gonna be pretty life changing for you, because vodka tastes like vodka, like it has that flavor. Tequila, you could do it with tequila. Take the 3 different tequilas and taste the difference between the three different styles, but just a little bit. That is more important than tasting cocktails, I can tell you, because once you learn what every spirit is supposed to taste like, or what they genuinely taste like, it'll help you with making your own cocktails, like creating your own, because you're like, I think that this would taste actually really good with that and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? And then again, it'll help you with even describing the cocktail, because what the mixers taste like, right? You know what lemon tastes like, what limes taste like, because they taste like what they taste like. Right. Spirits don't. They taste like other things.
Right.
So like take a little bit, not a shot, just a little bit, just a little taste word. Let's sip and let it sit in your mouth to pick up the flavors of that. Write it down so you remember. And even if you don't really get anything at first, just do it. You'd be surprised how quickly your palate will change, bro. And
it'll probably end up being a shot. Let's be real.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you don't want to take a shot of like a liqueur, that's for sure. But if you want to, go ahead. But like, like something like this, like Fernet Branca, like weird shit like this, especially. But if you don't have that stuff, just start off with like, dude, first of all, like amaretto, like take your amaretto, taste. You know what amaretto tastes like. You know what it's made of, right? But how often have you had amaretto by itself? Taste it by itself. Just see so you can see exactly what it tastes like. And then later on, when we get one of those new cocktail challenges, you can be like, oh man, I know what would taste good together.
I know how to explain this.
No, but that's a fact, man. Well, listen, so So obviously, like, that's a good thing, man. That's a good blind spot. You want to learn more. You want to learn more about how to
Always. Knowledge is power, man.
Yeah, how to explain what a cocktail tastes like or a spirit. Tyler, what's the future for your channel, brother? Like, you touched on it a little bit, but what do you want to do? I know what you want to do for the channel, but when you say brand, like, what do you mean exactly? What exactly you want to merch? You want to TV show? You want to
everything.
Auto products?
I don't know. I would say I'm very big optimistic. And the sky is the limit. The sky is where you see it at. Yeah. So if I can do the merch, if I can do the TV show, if I can do if I can do the store, whether it's an e-store or an actual like physical store, I want to do it all. I would, decide which direction I'd prefer to go more than the others. It's hard to say. For sure though, I want to have something, I guess, with my name or my idea on it. That's what I want. I want someone to look at and be like, I love this brand. I love this idea. And it be something that I created. Cool. And I don't know. I think starting out, I'm in the right area. I'm in the right direction. Obviously it's going to take time. I'm not expecting this overnight. This isn't something I'm even doing by the end of the year. It's just, this is 4, 5, 6 years down the road. Maybe, I have 100,000 subscribers and I can finally push out my products that I want to. And, hopefully I have a better plan before that, but yeah. So
listen, brother, I mean, if anybody has that potential, it's definitely you, man. I think if you keep sticking with what you're doing and just keep improving it, always improve on the content and the quality, but always be Tyler, man, you're going to kill it, bro, because Tyler's what's got the niche loving you, bro. And, is why you have the subs that you have. It's why Peggy keeps on giving you comments. Peggy.
Dude, I love
Peggy, you see this, Peggy? I love you, Peggy.
Peggy's gonna watch this too. She is like my super fan. Like my wife is my super fan, but my wife's mom, bigger super fan.
I love Peggy. I just love her comments. They make me feel good.
She reposts all of my stuff on her Facebook.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Peggy, if you're watching, I love you. You're the best.
Yeah, Peggy, I love you too. It's funny. I remember when you first started, I would always see it would be like me and Peggy. Something tells me that's a family member.
And she's not the biggest drinker in the world, but every now and then I'll make a cocktail and she'll be like, "Oh, that one, like I drink that." Like, all right, good.
You know what, man? Honestly, bro, like, every little support, just to know that someone's in your corner, man, that stuff feels good. That feels awesome, man. Like, like it feels good to know, especially, we talked about this offline, like, your friends and family, they love you, they've got your back and stuff like that. But there's not necessarily always a vested interest in what we do with them.
My mom watches none of my shit, which is
exactly.
It's like, she always asks about it. I'm like, why don't you go watch it?
Yeah.
She'll be like, "Oh, have you seen this cocktail that so-and-so made?" And I was like, "Yeah, I made the exact same one a week ago." Just give that a look, ma.
Yeah, it is. And is it disappointing? Of course it's disappointing, right? But you also understand that, like, if they made a channel about, botany, I may not really be into it, right? You know what I'm saying? Right. So, like, you can't really fault them.
No.
It is what it is.
You don't want to change any of the people that you hate. I mean, you don't want to change their likes or dislikes. So
you don't want to force them to watch it and give you kind of like, how do you say, like feedback that they don't necessarily even mean or something.
They don't understand it. Yeah, they don't get it. Yeah.
So, and at some point, you're going to say something on there maybe that you don't want your mother to see anyway.
I think about her every now and then when I'm editing stuff. I'll be like, what would Peggy think?
Oh, man. Well, listen, Tyler, brother, man, it has been absolute pleasure, brother, man. I really enjoyed having you on.
Absolutely.
We're definitely going to do this again. And God willing, our channels both keep growing. And
let's do it.
We keep on going and keep at it. And we've got to team up for a collabo on something funny, bro.
Absolutely.
I think we could kill something, bro.
Yeah, I'm so excited for what we have, like what we're talking about in our chat rooms and everything, what's to come. Yeah. I love it. But yeah, no, I'm always down. I'm always excited. I'll try anything. So obviously, me, I got costumes for days, man.
Yeah, you definitely. So, Tyler's hinting at us. We have a what's it called? Discord.
Discord.
Where the group of the community gets together and just kind of talk ideas and stuff like that. And there's been a lot of great ideas kind of being batted back and forth and stuff like that we really think you guys are going to love. Sometimes we're probably just making each other laugh, but you know what? If it makes you guys laugh too, then it's so worth it. And,
always.
That's the big thing about it, man. Well, Tyler, brother, listen, man. again, we'll be talking. We'll be talking. But just want to thank you for being on the show.
Always.
And remember,
thank you
folks,
for having me, man.
Oh, of course. When life gives you lemons,
make a cocktail.
There you go, brother. All right. Talk to you soon, buddy.
See you, buddy.